All right, y'all, welcome back to Chasing Dreams Homestead. We've had a lot of folks ask us to do a video on processing chickens. For YouTube purposes, we will not show you the harvesting part, but we will show you everything else from the start to the finish. So I'm gonna let the kids go ahead and tell you what role they have in processing the chickens now. Sophie?
I cut the feet and gut.
Niklaus?
I'm gutting.
You're helping Sophie with the gutting? Heck yeah. MJ?
I run the water.
That's right. Dylan? Hannah?
Oh, me and Genesis gonna kill him and grill him.
All right, and what kind of chicken are we doing today?
It's a Red Ranger.
Awesome. All right, guys, as you can tell, these kids are amped up and hyper and happy about getting to process some chickens. So we'll get back with y'all here shortly once we get the first chicken plucked out. Nick, you ready to get your chicken, buddy?
Yeah.
All right, get on it, brother.
Come here, baby.
There you go. Hannah, you getting one? Far out. All right.
Nick, we need another one.
Showing them the setup here. We gather the chickens and we set it up to where we do a whole run of them in one shot. Hang them by their feet like that versus a killing cone, because they can bounce out of the killing cone, but in this scenario they're pretty much where we want them to be and they're not going to leave that spot. Hannah's bringing in the last one for this batch. This is our setup for holding up the pipe. We just wedge it on the tree there and then use a step ladder. No, buddy, we got it full for this round. Yeah. All right, ladies.
All right, where's
Our
the knife?
chickens are there.
You first.
We're not going to
You
show the
first.
cutting for YouTube purposes, but just so y'all know, that's how you harvest it. You cut their jugular. All right. So our scalding setup is really simple, y'all. A burner, propane tank, a little windshield. Check that water there. It's not quite ready. You see the bubbles on top? We put a little drop of Dawn in there that helps loosen the feathers off the chicken. It's almost there. We'll come back shortly. All right, so for this part here, we're going to do the dunk. You want to put your chicken in about 145 to 150 degree water. Ease it in there, Hannah. There we go. And we use tongs so we can get the chicken fully submerged. If you get all of the chicken under the water, the skin on the feet will come off in the plucking process, and it really helps to loosen up the feathers. So right now we're doing that. We usually do that about 15-20 seconds. If your water starts to get too hot, you really don't want to do it that long, because what will happen is you'll end up cooking the skin right on off the bird. Right now this water is not too hot, but as time goes on, you really need to be able to watch your water to make sure that you don't let it get too hot. The longer it's over that flame, the hotter it's going to get, y'all. Take you over to the plucker now. MJ, turn the water off. All right, guys, that's a pretty clean bird from that plucker right there. Got a few feathers left. Those Red Rangers tend to keep a few feathers on them compared to a Cornish, but that's pretty clean, y'all. We'll get you over to the table. All right, y'all. So Sophie was going to demonstrate this. With technical difficulties, she's not going to be able to demonstrate at this moment. So we start with flexing the leg and cutting in the joint there. Eases right on in. Flex it the opposite direction and push right on through there. I've got some distractions on the side when you're working with teenagers. That's a give me. Legs off, guys. Same thing. Flex. Now some chickens, I don't know that they have more tendons, but it appears like they have more tendons when you're going to cut this stuff. Some of them are a little bit harder to cut through. If you've ever done Cornish crosses, those dudes are just, I don't really care for them. They don't get a whole lot of flavor to them, but those dudes are so easy to process. All right, so right here on the back of a chicken is an oil gland. So what we always do is we cut right above that gland, because we don't want that gland in our meat. And then we cut on down the sides just a little bit. I'll do the same thing over here. I'm doing it with my left hand, so forgive me, I'm a righty. There we go, cut down the sides. But we're keeping all of this intact as we're doing it, y'all. The reason for that is there's the back door. You want to keep the intestines intact. You do not want to split those open while you're doing this. I've got people dancing all around me, so it's a little bit hard to concentrate.
Yeah, Sophie.
But I'm doing my best to demonstrate for y'all. My camera girl's kind of distracted as well.
Yeah.
So here we go. We got us a little opening. I'm gonna flip it over real quick for Nick, because Nick's gonna do the gutting for us. So you're gonna come through here and open that hole up just a little bit bigger. I like to let the kids do the gutting because their hands are smaller. They can get right up in there, no big deal. So here's Nick demonstrating the gutting process. We have a gut bucket down here, you guys. So we take all these guts. You need the hole bigger?
Yeah.
Stretch it, buddy. There you go. That's good. And this is Nick's first time doing this, y'all. So he's picking up really quickly.
It's really hot.
It's hot, yeah, that's right. Because the chicken was alive, so its body's still warm from the blood that was flowing through his body, and we put it in hot water to help loosen up the feathers for the plucker. There you go, buddy.
I could do this to humans someday.
Your son is quite the character, ma'am. All right, you got it all cleaned out in there yet? No, you're missing a lot. This old girl's a fat one. So if you've never done a chicken, no, leave that. That's the fat. Your mom's gonna want that, dude. That makes the food so good when you cook it. So if you've never processed a chicken, please understand that whoever made the first ever dog squeak toy must have processed a chicken, because that noise you just heard is the exact same noise you hear on every squeak toy in the pet store. There we go. All right, I'm gonna let the kids finish plucking out the feathers. There's one more step, guys and gals. It's right up here on the top. My son did an excellent job taking the neck off for us. We used to fight those necks off all the time with a knife. We no longer do that. Right up here on the top is the crop. I do not like to do chickens that have any food in their crop because I don't want to contaminate the meat if the crop busts open. The same reason why I like to keep the intestines together and pull everything out and not rupture the back door or the intestines in the process. Here's your crop, all intact. It's so much easier to do if you do it on a chicken that has been taken off of food for 24 hours. That really mitigates the risk of having a dirty crop bust as you're trying to remove it. This is a lot of fat on this chicken. This was a layer. There's feathers all over it still. I'm gonna let the kids pluck those out. But you have a finished chicken right now. Like I said, this is a lot of fat. You won't see that on a Cornish cross. Those dudes are like all meat. But this fat, as everyone knows, if anyone does any cooking, is the flavor. This is gonna keep the meat juicy. It's gonna taste amazing. And you want the fat, so don't cut the fat off just because it's not pretty. Nick, I finished the gutting for you. You think you can finish the plucking for me?
Yeah.
You're the man, dude. Thank you. All right, y'all. All right, so we're gonna go through this one more time for everyone from a different angle. Flex that knee. That one cut through real easy compared to the other one. Different breed of chicken. Like I said, some of them seem to have more tendons. I don't know. That may be the case. Flip it over. There's that oil gland. It's at the top of the tail. Gonna cut behind the gland, cut down the sides. Whole while leaving the intestines intact. You can see the intestine right there. We don't want to open that up because, like I said, there's the back door. So we're gonna cut right around that bad boy too. The best thing to do is to just take your time, do it slow, so you can leave everything intact and not soil your meat. There we go. Got all that right there. I'm gonna cut this up a little bit here so we can get into that cavity, because this is a little bitty chicken, y'all. Start pulling the guts. This is honestly, like I've said, a reason I like to let the kids do this part, because it's just really hard to get in there without making a massive hole. I can't even get my hand all the way in there. Okay. There we go. I broke it open a little bit. I can get in there. So if you're going to process these and make them pretty, you wouldn't want to be quite as rough as what I'm doing. You would let Mama Dreams here or somebody else get in there. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that the chicken's cleaned out and ready to make a meal. So these chickens, our friends over at Frazier Farms came over and brought a variety of chickens today because they decided that they are done with the chickens for a while. There we go. Guts are out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut back the neck skin a little bit. I talked on this earlier about the crop. So you want to get to the crop. The gray slimy part in there. It's attached. So you just free that up without busting it though. There we go. Pull it out. Last and sometimes the hardest one is the trachea. That dude sometimes will stick in there. That one came out pretty easy. Now, I know this isn't very pretty, y'all, but this is a meal. When we're not kind of getting in a rush, we'll do a lot better presentation on a chicken. There's some of that fat I was talking about in the last video. But overall, this chicken's done. I prefer to leave the skin on because I like the way the skin holds the juice in when it's cooking and the skin has the fat attached to it. Now, some people will skin out their chickens. If you want to skin a chicken out, you just go right on up the breast like that's already starting. And work your way around and peel it back. Yeah. So, we will show you one that Mama Dreams skinned in just a second. Here's a completely skinned out chicken ready to rest. There we go. All right, I hope this was helpful for some of y'all. All right, so Mama Dreams is going to show y'all real quickly the rinse. We always have a rinse tank. This is like the 5th chicken that's went in here, so the water's a little dirty. If it starts getting real dirty, we'll go ahead and dump it out and put some new water. But we rinse it real well before we put it in the cooler. Once it's rinsed, she'll throw it in the cooler. So what we do is once we got the chickens in the cooler, we will then add ice and leave the drain hole open for 24 hours. That is one way we've done it. Now another way we did it over the summer when we had a lot of fresh herbs available is we actually made an ice water brine that had herbs and different salts and whatnot in it. I really like the brine, but because Frazier Farms is carrying this stuff back across the river to Kentucky, they're not going to go with the brine this time. So we've got our bag of ice right here, and as soon as they get the rest of their chickens in here, they will then put the ice over it and leave that drain hole open so the chickens can stay cool but not swimming. All right, just to recap, y'all, we had our friends from Frazier Farms out from Louisville, Kentucky, and they asked us to help them take care of their chickens. I have a feeling that one of the Frazier Farm kids is being silly. We like to have fun when we do things. This is definitely most likely the most redneck chicken processing video you've seen on YouTube. I guarantee you. And I imagine these kids are in the background doing all kinds of fun stuff. We did 15 chickens that they're going to get to go home and enjoy and eat. And we walked you through every step of the process. There may have been some distractions along the way. For that, that's okay. We like to have fun, and we're not going to take this too seriously. This is just about sharing our knowledge with y'all. Kids, did you learn anything?
Yeah.
What'd you learn?
My new epic dance moves. Let's move. Oh, oh, oh.
What about you, Hannah Bafana?
No, I've done this before, so I didn't learn anything new. Except for the eggs in those. Those are cool.
Yeah, so some of the hens that they brought out were starting to produce eggs. They had not yet laid them, but they were starting to produce them. So when they started gutting them, they got to see where the eggs started to develop in the hens. So that was kind of neat for them. My son collected some blood for his biology class. I don't know what they want to use that for, but that's cool. We're happy to oblige. Anyhow, as always, y'all, till next time. Somebody beat me to it. Keep dreaming.